Hello, listeners, creepers, dudes, and dudettes. Welcome to episode 12 of Grumpy X Sunshine. That's not 3 X's, but we do come with a parental advisory. I'm Storm, aka Grumpy, if you couldn't tell.
And I'm Lady, aka the Sunshine. Hello.
And today we will be reading some stories from Reddit. I think most of these are Reddit r/paranormal. Yeah. All of these are r/paranormal.
It's weird that they're all r/paranormal because some of them seem more matrixy.
Well, I start when I do these ones, when I get the info for these, I start just deep diving on the forum itself.
Oh, okay.
Valid. And so, yeah. Okay, so the first one we got is from user Another Gamer Dad. It's from r/paranormal. If you couldn't understand what we literally just said, r/paranormal. Anyways, the title is I Think I'm Jumping Realities. So this guy says, I don't know when this started. I've been racking my brain for some kind of start point, and at best I can reckon it's for more than a decade. I have no evidence or anything concrete, but the changes I'm noticing can no longer be fully explained by faulty memories or Mandela effect. The last straw that has me contemplating this is a change in a couple of people I knew well. Almost overnight, they became people I hardly knew, involved in things they would never be anything less than disgusted by. Becoming bigoted and borderline racist, cheating on their partners or speaking badly behind their friends' backs. None of the care or compassion I knew and treasured from them, it's all gone. Well, maybe you don't know them as well as you thought. I already hear you. I know them. I've known them all my life. I know of anything that would have caused this, but I would accept that as an answer if it wasn't for everything else that caused suspicion even before the latest changes.
Okay, so wait, pause.
Okay.
So he thinks he's in a different reality because these people that he's known his entire life, who he used to think were compassionate and empathetic and nice people,
yeah,
are now becoming
racist
and bigoted.
Yeah.
And cheating on their partners and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just the first one.
Okay.
So the next thing is shops I've never seen before appearing and have existed in that spot for months or years. Others disappearing, becoming houses, or empty again for what seems like years. Kids' programs I grew up with no longer existed. My favorite book series has different events. I even think some people I knew have ceased to exist.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like PBS is just not PBS anymore.
Yeah, it's gone.
He's reading a book and instead of I can't even give an explanation.
Instead of Harry Potter, spoilers if you haven't read Harry Potter, I guess. Instead of Harry Potter getting taken to the graveyard or something, maybe he
goes somewhere else.
Cedric Diggory never died because the Cursed Child came out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so something like that.
Okay.
As well as you know how we have that old Super Kmart?
Yeah.
Okay. Over on near the Aldi's and the Sparkle.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine that never existed. Or that was now apartments.
Ew. Yeah, no, that would freak me out.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, every time I drive around the area, there's random pop-ups of things that make me think I'm
losing your mind.
Crazy. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't pay attention enough. Anyways, so he goes on to say bigger events have changed as well. I remember celebrating with friends when Brexit failed. Then the next day, I was shocked to see it passed, and my friends remember the same night, but we were commiserating. Same thing with COVID. I remember things being a lot worse than overnight everything got better. So he remembers I don't know what Brexit is.
So is he saying that he randomly appeared in our timeline?
I don't know what Brexit is.
No.
That's the problem.
So Brexit in his timeline failed and they were all really happy about it. In
Yeah.
the timeline he's in now, it passed and his friends were talking about how they were all sad about it.
Yeah.
But he remembers him celebrating because it failed.
Yeah.
Okay. And COVID was supposed to be what?
Worse.
It was supposed to be really bad and then really good overnight.
Yeah, like he felt like it was really, really bad, and then all of a sudden he fell asleep and woke up, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, like you can leave your house.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of happened.
Yeah.
So
that one, yeah. The things I've listed are just the tip of a huge iceberg. There's so much more I could list through, most more personally, and the bigger events I've mentioned. This could easily all be in my head and I'm overthinking it all. I feel like Wharf in parallels, except the changes are much more spread out and subtle. Could I be losing my mind? Am I worried if I'm moving through realities? What changes next?
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can imagine being like in that situation that you think you're transported to a different reality.
The first thing I would suggest is like an MRI.
Oh yeah, I might have a tumor. Okay, all right. So my story is titled "No One Ever Believes Me When I Tell This Story. Has this happened to anyone else?" by Noma Dixel, NOMADICSOUL 24. Sorry, it's an r/paranormal. This happened to me when I was around 9 and my little sister was 3. It was nighttime around 10 p.m. and I was playing computer games on my desktop that was in my room. My desk faced the wall opposite of the door in my room. I heard something hit the wall beside me. I turned around and there was nothing there. Now, as a kid, I just figured I was tripping and got back to playing my game. But then it happened again. I turned around again, but this time when I did, I seen my sister walking down our stairs. Mind you, the stairs were literally right next to my door. Right next door to my room. I'm sorry. I couldn't see down them from my room, but I could see when someone would go to walk down them. My little sister was so small at the time that her parents would give her one of their big t-shirts to wear when she went to bed sometimes. When I seen her, I called out to her, but she didn't answer. She just walked down the stairs. I know 100% that I seen a small figure in an oversized white t-shirt walk down our stairs. So
Or
I
a
got up.
nightgown.
Huh?
Or a nightgown.
Or a nightgown. Yeah, that's great. Oh, little kid in a nightgown.
Yeah.
Disgusting. So I got up and went to the stairs, but I didn't see her. I figured she had ran down, but it was weird because she was scared to go downstairs by herself at night. I ran downstairs to see what she was doing, but all of the lights in the TV were off. Only light on was a little sculpture case that my mom put ornaments in. I checked the kitchen and the living room, but she was not down there. I ran back upstairs to find her in her parents' bed asleep. My mom was at work and my dad was in the shower. Me, my sister, and my dad were the only 3 home. As a kid, I just shrugged it off and went and got back to my game. But now as a 26-year-old man, it scares the hell out of me to think about what the hell was it that I saw that night. You know, I hear all these, this story specifically ties back to that mimic thing that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a mimic. Ew. This comment by Desperate-Pair-860 says your little sister was astral traveling while asleep. I have a cat that has made astral out of body. Oh, I have a cat that has mad astral out of body skills. I've seen her twice out of body looking solid and real. The last time she just appeared in the windowsill between the family room and the dining room. Addition built by previous owners, kept the brick wall, and the window opening, just built the family room attached to the exterior wall. Ew. Okay. That was a lot. Anyway, I was in the living room when I hear commotion in the kitchen and my cat Leo tear out of the kitchen. I walk in to see the water from the water bowl all over the floor. I look into the adjacent dining room and see his sister Mouse sitting on the windowsill as she jumps down into the dining room under the table. I don't hear a sound. I go into the room, which is just a few feet away, and I don't see her. I walk towards the living room and I don't see her. I start calling her. My daughter then calls downstairs that Mouse is on her bed and was asleep, and she just woke up. Leo and I both saw his sister in her very solid looking astral body while she was curled up asleep in my daughter's bed upstairs in her bedroom. And then someone else said doppelganger, and then a lot of people are talking about mimics and their own experiences.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I think it's something mimicky.
Yeah. Maybe not we had such a problem finding mimics specifically.
Oh my god, yeah, because on TikTok they make it seem like it's its own complete thing. But from what I've read and learned on, of course, it's all fucking Googling, whatever. But everything that I've read from Googling was it's not like the mimic's not its own thing. It's something that other things can do.
Yeah.
But then TikTok makes you think that it's a real thing. Like mimic is its own thing. And I think it's starting to become that because you know how like when you believe in something, you give power to it?
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening. I think people are believing in so much that there's something called a mimic, like an actual creature, just a mimic, that they are actively creating mimics.
Yeah, it's a possibility. On to the next. r/paranormal by user swear I'm not Takuck. Tacuck.
I have no clue.
Okay.
Tokok?
I don't know. A story about why I believe in ghosts. This is for like a haunted house. This is a real story. In 2017, I stayed in an old, large house for a week in Australia. This house had to have been 100 years old at least. Beautiful place, sat right in a small village in a valley of the Alps. 2 stories with a large basement and an attic. At the top of the stairs, so 3, I guess. I slept on the 2nd floor with my ex. The trip was beautiful, however, that isn't the story I meant to tell. Throughout the week, this place started to become more and more strange. Started off by noticing small things out of place, like cups and shoes, and hearing weird noises during the nighttime. After a few days, the noises started getting louder, and the things that appeared out of place were much larger, like drawers opened and wardrobes shifted. By the 6th day, I was laying in bed, mid-conversation with my ex, when we were interrupted by scratching noises upstairs in the attic. Kinda sounded like a chair being dragged across the floor, audibly being moved across the floor. When the noise stopped, she and I both whispered, "What the fuck is that?" As soon as we said this, the shutter to the window my bed was next to slammed closed and scared the hell out of both of us. The next day, I was curious, went upstairs to see a bunch of junk piled up in front of the attic door. After moving all the stuff from the door, I noticed a wooden crucifix hanging from the door. I had already made it this far, so I decided to continue on. I grabbed the handle to the door, but it was locked. I had keys to the house with me, so I fumbled through them until I found the key that matched. It was a vintage key, one that you'd see in the movies, with the end of the key hollow to go over the pin in the keyhole. I unlocked the door and slowly opened the door. There was only one thing in the attic that I could see from the door. A chair.
I'm sorry. He says door so many times.
Like 100 fucking times.
I have the key for the door. I open the door. I put the key into the door. Like, sorry. I'm sorry. It's not like I can write any better, but...
But this was posted 20 days ago. There's no comments whatsoever. I'm not 100% certain that was like a real story. I think it might have just been like a telling of a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically him and his girlfriend go on this trip.
Yeah, to Australia.
And the house is fucking haunted.
Yeah. And the only thing that happens is a shutter slams and he opens a door to a chair.
Okay.
When you put it like that's kind of downplaying all his experiences.
Yeah.
But like,
man.
I'm sorry, I woke up to demons at the foot of my bed when I was 13. I'm not super impressed by opening the door to see a chair. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not.
Demons at the bottom of my bed. Your shutters closing ain't shit.
Yeah.
Love that.
I woke up with bruises growing up, like, from nothing.
Same. Couple times. My next one is titled, "What Do You Think of This?" Trigger warning: suicide by Neve Halto. Why do you keep giving me weird usernames?
Dude, I have weird usernames too. I don't know what to tell you.
This is also from r/paranormal.
If you didn't get the memo at the beginning of the podcast.
Whenever I tell this story to my friends, they always say the same thing. I just got chills. I'm not even kidding. First off, this didn't happen to me. It happened to my mom. I don't actually have proof of anything, and neither does she, but I genuinely think she's telling the truth. I know she wouldn't lie about this. So around a month after I got out of a mental hospital, me and my mom were talking in the car. And I have no clue how the conversation started, but I can only remember her saying something like, "You probably aren't going to believe me, but I swear this happened." I was a bit confused, but then she explained. Backstory. I don't remember the exact date, but it was around March of 2023 at around 2 a.m. I attempted to kill myself, and afterward, I ended up getting really dizzy and falling asleep. In the morning, when my mom figured out what I did, she called the cops, and that's when I went to the mental hospital. What my mom told me in that car was the night I attempted, my mom had a really creepy dream. It was of my great grandfather, who has been dead for 3 years. I don't know specifics of the dream, and I doubt my mom remembers, but basically, he was just talking to my mom, and he said, "I have to take the baby." Even though I'm a teenager, my great grandmother still calls me the baby.
Listen, my mother will forever call me her baby.
Yeah,
She's told me that.
I still call my godson. He's 4 years old. I still call him the baby. He's my baby.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a teenager, my great grandmother still calls me the baby. And when he was alive, my great grandfather did too. My mom was really confused and asked what? He repeated himself. "I am taking the baby." That's where the dream ended and my mom woke up. Then things pretty much escalated from there. I know it's a short story, but I just want to know your thoughts on the dream she had.
I think your great grandfather came to tell her, hey, like, give her a
It's weird
warning.
that he said, "I'm taking the baby." Like, it's not. It's kind of creepy, is it not? I mean, you're having this dream of
It
someone who's
depends on
dead.
how you look at it.
I mean, yeah, but he just says, "I'm taking the baby." They were just talking, and then he said, "I have to take the baby." She asked what? He repeated himself, "I am taking the baby." Like, though
Like, they had
the use
basically
of his
passed away.
words sounds.
To you, it sounds sinister. To me, it sounds, hey, they're having a dream about what would be their like the mom's grandfather.
Yeah.
And they're chatting, they're talking, and then all of a sudden he actually spirit wise steps into the dream and says, "Hey, I'm taking the baby because this teenager is passing away from self-harm."
You remember what I told you about how me and my mom had the same dream after my grandpa passed away?
No.
So it's slightly different, but my mom's dream was that she was in this random house and she walked into the garage. Basically, she opens the garage door and there's my grandfather. But it wasn't like my grandfather that we saw as he was passing away. It was my grandfather when he was young, like when she was a kid.
Okay.
She says she saw him, and at first, like, it was like, "Oh my god, that's my dad," and then something, it felt off. He felt sinister, and then he smiled at her, and my mom says all she remembers is saying no, and he slowly loses his smile and then starts smiling again and walking towards her, and she just kept saying, "No, you are not right, you don't belong here, no."
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was just very sinister. And I had the same dream, like, in a sense, that same exact night, or it was like a night before my mom or something. It was just a really fucking weird dream. But in my dream, I was at the house, like my grandfather's house, and I walked outside onto the porch or something. I can't fully remember,
This
but all
is your
I know,
mom's dad, right?
yes.
Okay.
All I remember is that I saw my grandpa and he didn't look right. And this is like the version of my grandpa that I've never personally met, or I was too young to like really remember. And he did the same thing. It just felt sinister. And I just remember saying, "This isn't right." And then he smiled and then started charging at me. And I just kept screaming no. And I woke up.
That's terrifying.
So me and my mom both had this like same dream as something like pretending to be my grandfather and like trying to take us. You know what I mean? So like I don't know. Whenever I hear like dreams about like grandparents or like loved ones that passed away, and like something's not right about them or something sounds like slightly sinister, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
And like this one, it just, the way he says, I have to take the baby, and then he repeats himself instead of saying, I have to take the baby, he says, I am taking the baby. There's no explanation unless she can't remember it, you know, because I guess like I'm
It's
not
also the
sitting here
mom's
talking
dream.
to her. Right. So like, I don't know. To me, it sounds a little sinister.
But that sentence can fill you with so much panic.
Right.
As a mom, you might just wake up.
Right. I'm not saying it can't be a guardian thing, but it sounds a little creepy to me.
So this is from r/paranormal. Again, if you did not get the beginning of this video, of this podcast. So this is from user Different Office 8. It's titled, Home We Rented Was ... uncomfortable. It's an experience. About 5 years ago, my family and I had moved due to the house we were renting being sold. We moved in and unpacked. Found used needles around the property, as well as hidden cupboards with multiple sets of scales and Ziploc bags. Awesome. We've rented a drug house.
Oh my god.
After a few weeks, my wife asked if I had seen shadows moving around the house. Turns out we both had. Observed shadows around the corners of our eyes when doing chores. Didn't think much of it to start with. Then we had doors suddenly open or close, usually at night around 3 a.m. Our bedroom door would open despite being properly closed. Our front door would also be found open in the morning despite being locked with a safety chain. And we lived there for about 60 days, as each day became more difficult. We experienced being pushed or slapped, dishes falling off of a bench, our dogs going crazy, barking at the hallway cupboards. Our last day, I was vacuuming the house, or trying to, and the vacuum kept getting unplugged. My wife ended up holding the plug in while I finished it. We started to load the car and had a few items sitting on the floor next to the front door. This included 2 part-full water bottles. As we walked through the house doing the final inspection, we heard the front door open yet again. As we stood there, one of the water bottles fell over. Had no reason to, no wind, nothing bumped it, and rolled out the door and across the patio, down the steps, and looked like it was being kicked up the footpath of the front gate, like up an incline.
Mm-hmm.
We went to court to break the lease we had at that house based on not being advised about it being a drug house. The court granted our application for the release, plus moving costs. During the hearing, the estate agents also disclosed that a previous tenant had died of an overdose in the home prior to us moving in. So that's 2 rules broken.
Yes, that is.
That'd be terrifying.
I would want to fight the realtor that sold me the house if they didn't tell me.
No, for renting.
Oh.
They were renting, yeah.
Well, even then, I'd still want to fight someone. You don't tell me that this used to be a drug house, and then you also don't tell me that someone died here.
Yeah. Like, because that's a whole nother cleaning expense that we don't even want to get into.
Right. Like, that's so fucked up. Not only is there probably fentanyl everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And, like, what if you
Nasty.
have pets or children? Like, that could have been a serious issue.
Especially if they didn't clean it properly. Like, they're not even disclosing information to you. Do you really think they even actually cleaned the house?
Yeah. Especially if they find broken needles all over the place.
Right.
When they moved in, they found broken needles all over the floor.
I don't know why, but I didn't hear that. So,
yeah.
Sorry. But still.
That's how they found out it was a drug house.
Yeah, so these people aren't properly cleaning anything. Someone fucking died in there.
Yeah.
So the next one that I was supposed to read was accidentally, it was actually deleted. So I found a new one. It's titled, I Was a Police Officer and I Think I Witnessed an Actual Curse. It's from Weird-Suggestion-152. Not safe for work with trigger warnings. And I briefly looked through it. I think the trigger warnings are for slight gore and suicide. I used to be a police officer in the city of Virginia. There is one upscale neighborhood in our city with very nice homes. I was always told stories when I was a new officer that there was a doctor who used to live in one of those homes. The story goes, the doctor attempted to perform some type of operation on himself. He numbed his stomach area to make an incision on himself, but since he couldn't feel it, he accidentally cut far too deep and large and accidentally disemboweled himself. When officers and paramedics arrived, he was found barely alive, holding his own intestines, and ultimately dead. He
Okay.
ultimately died.
Okay, first off, what the fuck? Second off, I didn't think you had to feel you cutting, because you don't feel it when you're cutting into somebody else.
You can feel the pressure.
Yeah, but like if you're cutting into somebody else, like as a doctor, and you're cutting into somebody else, you're not gonna feel, like you're gonna feel it through your hands.
Yes, you feel it through your hands.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand the sentence of since he couldn't feel it, he accidentally cut far too deep and large. I think when he numbed his stomach, he probably numbed his hands as well. Wasn't using proper.
Yeah. Plus, it's a legend, right?
As it's stories from other officers about the specific house.
Okay. And then third of all, I've decided that one of the stories I want to write. Listen, guys, Storm wants to write books.
Storm needs to make sure she has an editor.
Fuck off.
I love you so much, but you are terrible at spelling.
Listen,
I don't even think you're terrible at spelling. I think you just like decide you're gonna do.
Phonetically.
Yeah, I think you just
That's the
decide that it's
problem.
phonetic and that's it.
It's not deciding that it's phonetic. I cannot spell. Listen, people tell you to sound it out. I cannot sound it out properly. Since my speech therapy, I cannot sound things out properly.
Yeah.
So that's why I spell everything phonetically.
That's okay. I mean, I understand. Just make sure you have an editor.
Well, fucking obviously. First of all, but I actually decided last night that one of the books I want to write is a cop book, because you can always add more stories to that, and that would be a perfect like first book.
Okay, so you can like
Very light world building.
Yeah.
Okay. Every cop book is different, even if they follow the same structure. And boom.
I'd be down to read it.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to read it. You're gonna have to look through and.
Are you gonna make me your editor?
I'm not saying yes, but I'm also not saying no. Bitch, you know we're both poor.
We are both poor.
Anyways.
I'll help you edit.
Okay.
But you should probably ask my mom to edit over anyone else.
Oh.
Fast forward. I was assigned a call about a young female who was found dead by her older sister. When I arrive on scene, it is in the aforementioned nice neighborhood. When I exited my vehicle, I immediately had an uneasy feeling about the house. While nice on the outside, it just had this bad energy surrounding it. As I approached the front porch, I noticed countless empty energy drink cans and a Ouija board on the front patio table. Everything about this house just felt wrong. When I was let inside, the family was obviously very distraught. I was told the deceased sister, we'll call her Emily, was in the basement. At this point, another officer had also arrived, so he stayed upstairs with the family as I entered the basement. The basement was unfinished and fairly dark, minus 2 pull-string light bulbs, one on each side of the basement. The scene in the basement was similar to the front porch. Energy drink cans were everywhere, and another Ouija board was on the small coffee table. Emily, who was 19 if I remember correctly.
What is this family doing with multiple Ouija boards?
And energy drinks everywhere.
I mean, I can understand the energy drinks everywhere. If it's a family, I get it. But like, the multiple Ouija boards, why do you need more than one?
True.
I can understand multiple energy drinks and multiple energy drink
I can't,
cans.
if I want to know how many energy drink cans were around that you made sure to mention that there was a bunch of cans around.
Listen, there was probably like 5 on the front porch.
Yeah.
Right? Probably a couple crumbled up and probably a couple being drank, whatever. And then there were probably quite a few in the basement. But like, if you go in the basement to like game or something and you don't clean it and you're a teenager.
Well, it's unfinished, dark, minus 2 pull string lights. One on each side.
Okay, but how many times did we go into the basement? Just anywhere. Whether it was your house or somewhere like. whether you had stuff in there or not, or just like sit in the garage and stuff like that and just like drink energy drinks. And if you have a group of friends over or something, I mean,
each kid probably bought a Ouija board.
oh my goodness, that's too many Ouija boards.
Emily, who was 19 if I remember correctly, was hanging by her neck on a basement rafter. She had hung herself
How
with an
high are her
exercise
fucking
band.
ceilings of her basement?
I have no clue.
It said it was a nice neighborhood.
So yeah, probably like 6 feet. She had hung herself with an exercise band and was swinging back and forth slightly. Her face was blue, bloated, and contorted into a horrible expression. Another officer helped me lift her down. Emily's family consisted of her mother and father and her older sister.
Why was she still swinging?
I don't know. She probably had just done it.
If she had just done it, they should have had time to cut the band.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know.
Did
It says her face was blue and bloated, so she had to have been hanging there for a while.
Then why was she still swinging?
Her parents stated that they had been trying to help her because all she ever did was drink the energy drinks and stay up all hours of the night playing on the Ouija board. Her sister gave a little more detail about it. Being sisters, she stated that they were very close and told each other everything. Her sister said that Emily indeed had been obsessed with the Ouija board and drinking energy drinks to stay up all night and talk to it. What she believed was her boyfriend, quote unquote, who was dead.
Wait, what?
Her obsession with the Ouija board, drinking energy drinks to stay up all night and talk to what she believed was her boyfriend, quote unquote, who was dead. So Emily was obsessed with talking to the Ouija board because she thought she was talking to her dead boyfriend.
Okay. Okay, this is... Okay.
Her sister stated Emily had been saying that her boyfriend was begging for her to come join him in the afterlife. So she believed that this is why she did what she did. Now let me reiterate, this house felt wrong. Everything felt bad, and I had a very uneasy, sick feeling being in the basement. Not because of the dead body, which wasn't my first. This is a call that really messed me up for a while. We really never got much more of an explanation, and as cops, you kind of just have to move on to the next call. 2 weeks later, to the day, I get a call about a car accident with an injection. I head to the call, code 1, lights and sirens, and arrive and find a convertible BMW with the top down, which had experienced an obvious horrible crash and rollover. It was sitting on its wheels in the driver's seat, and in the driver's seat was a woman who clearly had a broken neck, as her head was almost all the way turned around. Next to the vehicle, about 25 feet away, was a man who had been ejected. Keep in mind, this is a convertible, so he was ejected from the top of the car. He was missing the entire top half of his head, and there were pieces of brain everywhere. I went to close off the scene with yellow tape. I walked about 75 yards away from the accident, where I found yet another large chunk of his brain. I'm not trying to be intentionally graphic, but I want to paint the picture of just how bad and violent this car accident was. Upon attaining the man's ID, I read the information off to the dispatch, and then another officer and I both realized the same thing at the same time. These two people were Emily's parents, who 2 weeks to the day just died in a horrible way. Breaking the news to the older sister was heartbreaking. I kept in touch with her for a little while. She had inherited her parents' estate and all of the life insurance money, etc. She ended up selling off everything and buying a different house to try to start over and repair her broken life. However, it doesn't end there.
Oh my god.
Around a month later, another officer was called after a pedestrian was struck by a car while she was jogging in her neighborhood. And you guessed it, it was the sister. She managed to survive several weeks in a coma, but ultimately did not make it. If you're wondering why the story about the doctor is relevant, the house that Emily killed herself in was the same house that the doctor lived in. I don't know what you guys think, but to me it definitely seems like either that house is cursed or Emily opened up something bad. That was a few years ago now, and I'm no longer a police officer. I moved a couple states away now. Twice now, I have found 2 different Ouija board planchettes on the sidewalk when going to check my mail. I never touch them and usually use a stick or something to push them into the storm drain.
Damn. That... Okay,
so he got cursed too.
No, not necessarily. He didn't touch it.
Someone commented, so the sister was able to successfully collect life insurance money, sell off her house, buy a new one, and then die all within a month of her parents' death. OP responded, I didn't say that all happened within a month. I said I kept in touch with her for a while. She went through those processes, bought a house, and then about a month after she moved, it happened. I kind of stopped checking in on her after she moved. I should have explained that better, I guess. The suicide and crash happened in May, and her sister was killed at the end of July, beginning of August, and I can't remember the exact date.
Yeah, if you're in an affluent neighborhood, you can not necessarily collect the life insurance, but you can move pretty quickly because your options are more open.
Oh, someone else made the same comment you did. Does your city have a coroner or medical examiner? The idea that the doctor's screwing up because he used topical anesthetic and couldn't feel the knife doesn't make sense. Doctors usually cut other people, and they can't feel that. If only his abdomen was numb, it wouldn't affect the hand he was holding the scalpel. It wouldn't affect what the hand holding the scalpel felt. He said, that story was just one told by other officers. I don't have firsthand knowledge about it besides what I was told, so I can't really tell you much else about it. And then someone said the story about the doctor using the knife on himself just sounds like an urban legend. He said, yeah, again, I can't really speak about the doctor's story of validity. It was a story that other officers spoke about more than once. It could be total bullshit or senior guys messing with the newer guys. But they all said it actually happened, and it was one of the first things some of the senior guys said after the suicide about it being the same house, so I really don't know.
Strange. Unless the doctor got really drunk.
I'm thinking if he was putting on a topical anesthetic, he probably, of course, if he's doing surgery on himself, he's probably not being very careful.
Nope.
So he probably numbed his hand. He's not even a cop anymore, but he keeps saying that it's been twice now that he's walked outside to go get his mail, and there's just Ouija board planchettes.
Yeah.
Sitting in his driveway.
Yeah.
The fact that he uses a stick to shove them down the store drain just makes me so happy. But
yes, good for them.
But like, that's crazy that he would have gotten cursed from that too. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like,
no, because I don't think he would have gotten cursed from that.
No. Unless Emily's following him.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Okay, your turn. Oh, actually, I do have something else. I don't think I fully believe the doctor story. I know that there was like shows. There was a movie that has the same plot as that, where the doctor tries to do surgery on himself and he dies. And I'm pretty sure that was based off of a true story, but I don't think that story happened in Virginia. So I do think the whole thing about the doctor was just senior cops making fun of the new ones.
And they 100% just heard that motorbike outside. And
that's okay. They can hear the motorbike. I'm
if
sure
they
they would.
Didn't, they're losing out. They're missing out, man.
Anyways, I don't think that was real. What I think happened is that a lot of times, which is why I don't mess with Ouija boards, is because
something bad came in.
Yeah, these tricksters will come in and they do whatever they want to do. They pretend to be your family members.
Yeah.
And they're ghosts. They see everything. Like, they know about you. If they're trying to communicate with you, they know you.
Yeah. They know you well enough to know some.
They know you well enough to know what to say.
Yeah.
To get you to fall for it.
Yes.
So I think that's what happened. A malevolent spirit was preying on a girl who just lost her boyfriend and was desperate to see him again. And convinced her to...
When you were saying it, I was like, wait, did she get a boyfriend after the person died and she decided that she was going to date a dead person? And like,
that's what I thought so too. I thought it was going there.
That's why I was so confused and like stopped you like 3 times.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. So our next one is from user clear-presence-485, titled, "There's something very wrong with my basement."
So why is it always the basement?
We're on a trend now. It's either the basement or it's the attic.
I hate it.
Yeah. I think it's because it's the stale energy.
I mean, I can see it. I've always thought basements were just scary and creepy.
versus like living rooms and kitchens. Kitchens are a nice one because kitchens have so many spices and cleansing spices, and they have water with the drains.
Well, if you also think about it, you only go down in the basement when there's something bad happening.
Or you have to do laundry, which is something bad happening. So it's a haunted house experience. They say, my family and I moved into our new rental house about 6 months ago. It's a 2-unit house that was built in the early 1910s. And we live on the second floor. The house is located in a historic town in the Midwest. And this is about a 5-minute drive from the home my mother grew up in. Anyways, in order to do laundry and store our stuff, we have to go down to the basement. Now, I'm really not one who gets creeped out by conventionally, quote, scary, unquote, things. In fact, I love horror movies / games, gorish things, etc. When we first moved into the new house, my sister and I joked about how there was probably some ghost of a serial killer who lived in the basement since the place is so old. But now I'm starting to think that might be... maybe there really is something or someone down there. At first, I didn't think much of the basement. Sure, there's no windows, 100-year-old wooden beams, tons of cobwebs and exposed brick, but nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, the last place we lived for about 3 years, my bedroom was in the basement. Granted, it was redone and modern and the complete opposite of our basement now, so the basement is a split off into 2 different sections. So our neighbor's place sits right above it, and they have the right section of the space, whereas we have the left section of the space. Which, funnily enough, another tangent, when me and my ex were looking for a house, okay, we went to one actually near here, near where you live.
Yeah.
And not like super close, but close enough that it was like, when I found out where you lived, I was like, that's weird. The basement was like murder basement.
Have you seen my basement?
Yes, I've been in your basement with you.
I hate my basement.
We went to go scare your neighbors in your basement. Yeah, it was funny.
I do have to say, my basement looks like a murder basement, but it doesn't give the vibe of a murder basement.
No.
There's just a bunch of spiders.
This basement was like dirt floor, bricks, rocks all over the place. Like, it was a murder basement.
Ew.
Yeah. So, anyways, on with the story. There's plenty of storage down there, but our section is basically just a long hallway with a washer dryer, and then this weird room at the back of the space. It's sectioned off with wood, with a wooden door, with super long nails poking out of its beams. At first, when we got to our new place and I started to do laundry, nothing was out of the ordinary. But I feel like the more I go down to the basement, the more I'm starting to realize how the energy is just off down there. It's so difficult to explain what feeling I get, but it's very dark. Like physically and also mentally, because I can feel this kind of darkness inside of me whenever I go down there. I'm a very sensitive person with a sensitive spirit. I believe in ghosts and the paranormal, and also auras and energies. I believe that rooms and places and people hold all kinds of energies, and they can last for decades and centuries if they're strong enough. Usually when I go into the basement in the daytime, it's not that bad, and definitely not as strong. Nighttime is a totally different story, though. Just tonight, I went down there to get some laundry out of the washer. I noticed how I tend to avoid looking at the space off to the right that was the weird blocked off wind room. The energy was so dark down there tonight. I felt it pressing down on me, like someone was watching me. So I quickly got the things out of the washer, made my way up the stairs, but I had the feeling and intuition that I shouldn't turn my back. Because every time I travel up the stairs, I have to turn the lights off behind me. So it's just going to be this gaping dark roll at my dark that leads down to the basement. The entire time I walked upstairs, I looked behind me, and the moment I stepped back into my place, I felt a heavy weight lift off my shoulders. Our landlord told us that this house was built before the war, and there are definitely signs of that. The section that we live on, or in, on the second floor, was the maid's quarters. But there are also weird aspects of our place that very off-putting, like the random boarded up door in my sister's closet that's so small only a child could fit through. We have no idea what's behind there, but we think it could have been used as a safe space during the world wars. At least that's the explanation our landlord gave us. I honestly truly believe that something bad happened in our section of the basement, namely that one section off room. Maybe it's my mind and paranoia playing tricks on me, but there's almost seems to be an evil presence down there.
Ew.
That was a lot of words to get out. Did you notice me tripping on them?
I kind of did.
I'm sure everybody else did.
So the door has a bunch of nails poking out of it?
Yeah.
Ew.
And through the beams.
So something tried to board it up?
I guess so.
It sounds like someone attempted to board it up.
I guess.
Ew. That's so fucking nasty. Sorry. Alright. Houses on a Graveyard by elegant _ad _2603. So I'm new to this subreddit. I've been using Reddit to document my experiences at my house. Unfortunately, the last subreddit room kind of died. If you want to catch up on how I got here, just go to the post on my profile. Anyways, some context for new readers. On the east side of Houston, a subdivision was built over a graveyard in the 1970s. New homeowners dug for pools and they started unearthing bodies. Come to find out, it's an old slavery graveyard, the Black Hope Cemetery. This is an unsolved mysteries episode if you want more history, as well as a Facebook page of homeowners' experiences that live in this community. I own 2 houses in this subdivision, having experiences in both houses. My house I currently live in would be on the north side of the original graveyard. So now on to the new stuff. Buckle in, this will be a long post. My next story is Houses on a Graveyard, elegant _ad _2603. So I'm new to this subreddit. I've been using Reddit to document my experiences at my house, and unfortunately, the last subreddit room kind of died. If you want to catch up on how I got here, just go to the post on my profile. Anyways, some context for new readers. On the east side of Houston, a subdivision was built over a graveyard in the 1970s. New homeowners dug for pools and they started unearthing bodies. Come to find out, it's an old slavery graveyard, the Black Hope Cemetery. There is an unsolved mysteries episode if you want more history, as well as a Facebook page of homeowners' experiences that live in this community. I own 2 houses in this subdivision, having experiences in both. The one I currently live in would be on the north side of the original graveyard. So now, the new stuff. Buckle in, this will be a long post. My wife and I are finally submitted to the idea that something is here. There is too much going on to ignore it. My wife has put the picture that was on my last post of what looks like someone standing outside my son's room on Facebook, and it gained a bit of traction, even catching the eye of a reputable ghost investigation group. We had a preliminary investigation which proved to be an interesting experience. The investigator put a REM pod, some light up crystals that only light up with energy, no idea what they are or how they work. All she explained is that they don't light up when she touches them. It has to be some kind of energy, and an audio recorder. So yes, all of this is audio recorded. As she is asking us questions in her questionnaire, we were telling of past experiences, and the REM pod went off constantly and seemed to react as we told what was happening in the house. I don't know the validity of these things, nor do I think these prove our house is haunted, but it was an interesting experience nonetheless. After the questionnaire, she brought out what she called a portal. She explained that instead of white noise like a spirit box, it used low frequency that we can't hear to produce energy. It looked like an old guitar amp with a metal coil ran along a strap with a white box on the side. She turned it on and immediately 2 voices came through, a man and a woman. that seemed to be talking to each other. I couldn't understand anything as the conversation was broken words and the occasional full word. Oddly, the woman's voice sounded familiar from what I had heard in my last post while talking in the shower. What?
What? While talking in the shower?
I couldn't understand anything as the conversation was broken words and the occasional full word. Oddly, the woman's voice sounded familiar from what I had heard in my last post while taking a shower. The man's voice was new. Anyways, the investigator had said that the paranormal are attracted to children, especially autistic children. So that made her ask about my daughter. Immediately, it said protect her. We asked a series of questions, and there was not a lot we understood that came through. However, during a break, a voice said clear as a bell, "We see her." My daughter, who was sleeping in my son's room, had walked out of the room and into the hallway and stood in the doorway. My wife, the investigator, and I were looking at the box when this was said. My wife turned around and there was my daughter looking at the new person in her house, looking confused. Then the shift of the conversation suddenly went to her, and we started getting responses. We asked if my daughter saw them. She said yes. And we asked if they checked on my son. The man responded, not really. The woman said sometimes. They said it at the same time. What really spooked me was suddenly my daughter's name came through the box. I'm pretty careful about not saying my kids' names to protect them, so when this came through, my wife and I were shocked. We hadn't even told the investigator her name, so we suddenly didn't think this was a gimmick. Then we asked if they liked me, and the response was, "He's okay," from the man. I asked about my wife, and it was silent. During this, the REM pod went off sometimes. We asked if they liked my daughter, and a clear yes came through. We decided to end the investigation as the storm was about to hit, and the investigator needed to go home. She said it would take her a few weeks to a month to review the audio recording, so we were waiting on that. We were about 2 weeks since the investigation. We have since done our own investigations after this, and have now a plethora of EVPs and evidence that we have gotten, but this will be on my next update since this post is long. As always, thanks for reading. I'll have my next update soon. If he's going to do updates, he should learn how to write.
You sound like you're talking to me. 2 things. One, I think that the pause, like the silence, was like they're not decided on if they like their wife or not.
That's what I'm thinking.
And 2, they do have a lot of updates. Like they have many posts after that.
This was 21 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the EVP analysis request. For context, I've been using Reddit for the past year to document my experiences at my house that sits on what used to be the Black Hope Cemetery. We have been getting a ton of EVPs at my house. I have examples of what has been caught at my house on my page, but I don't have a way to break them down and clear them up anymore. The guy who was helping us has been having technical issues.
They probably won't be able to hear that. I can barely hear it.
Ew.
Lady is currently looking at the different they posted some snippets of like recordings that they can listen to from text messages and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. This is so creepy. Anyways, go ahead and check out his page. It has a ton of posts.
What's the username again?
u/elegant_ad_2603. His name on Reddit is Old School Devil.
Okay.
That's pretty fucking cool, I think, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
It's not cool. Sorry. It's not cool that the house was built on a slavery graveyard.
All of America was built on a graveyard.
I agree. But no, I think his stories are pretty cool. I think I'm going to end up looking into him a lot more.
Okay, so my weird thought of the week is actually going to bed, you'll feel better in the morning is the human version of did you turn it off and back on again?
That is so true. Just go take a nap.
100%.
Go restart. Go take a nap.
100%.
You know, I can't nap.
I have a hard time napping.
If I fall asleep, man, I'm dead until I decide to wake up.
You really are. You truly, truly are.
It's not my fault.
Oh my goodness, you are. No, I have a hard time taking a nap. I can take a nap for a couple hours because that's usually all I sleep anyways. And I've been up since the day we are recording this episode. I've been up for hours, like since 6 a.m. and it is currently 4:29 in the afternoon. I'm exhausted.
Didn't go to bed until pretty late.
What's
I think
pretty
it was
late?
like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys text at like 2 or 3 a.m. You and Blue.
Yeah.
And I just ignored it because I'm like, I have to go to bed. I know I have to wake up early in the morning. I can't text you guys back.
Okay, well, that's all we have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed our stories.
Yeah.
Be kind and love yourselves.
And remember, hydrate, you little creeps.
Bye bitches. I can't believe I did that without looking at you.
I know, me either.
Aren't you so proud of me?
Very.